great continent of Africa has produced tremendous people that you will always want to associate with for their contribution to the development of the continent. And one country is very much dearly to every African, and whenever you mention that country, you have no choice than to want to associate with the people there. They are very interesting people who also believe that Africa must grow. Ethiopia is one country that has brought Africans together, and that is why the leaders of Africa had also decided that Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, will be the #1 seat of African Union. I'd like to welcome you to Trailblazers Africa this wonderful day. This is a combination of joy, happiness, and what have you, because my guest today is from the best country in Africa. You want to ask me? Oh, I know you want to argue that, but of course, let me say the seat of African Union, talking about Ethiopia. I have Excellency Gifti Abasiya, the ambassador of Ethiopia in Republic of Ghana. I'd like to welcome you to Trailblazers Africa.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it wasn't a slip of tongue when I said the best country in Africa. Your Excellency, before you became an ambassador, I knew you started somewhere. And being a woman, how did you fight your way to the top? How did it all begin?
I brought up in a small town in Oromia regional state, western part of Ethiopia. At that time, really, I don't have a model. But by the grace of God and my courage, I entered the school and finished my elementary school there and joined another town, higher education. At that time, really, I would say I am active student. I participated in different things, in sports and other activities, and also in student movements at that time. You know that we call higher education students, if they are not joined in student movements, or if they are not revolutionary, sometimes they have different name. But not only as a fashion to join that. There is something I've seen, I saw around my village, my town. My father is, to some extent, he have a middle class feudal land owner. But I saw some peasants how they suffer around us. Now because of this, I joined student movement. The motto at that time is, yes, we have one saying, Amharic, Fanno Tasamara. Fanno Tasamara and the Ho Chi Minh in the Chekuvera. That means gorilla, raise your arm.
Wow.
As Chekuvera, as Ho Chi Minh.
Wow.
After that, just I didn't finalize my higher education. I imprisoned by the Mengistu regime.
You went to prison?
Yeah, I went to prison for more than 2 years. Maybe you heard that at that time. We have a butcher government. There is a retailer at that time. There is no freedom to speak, a freedom to write. Now because of this, I am imprisoned. Not me only. There are a lot of people who are imprisoned and killed in Addis Ababa. I am imprisoned. The prison where I were there is at this time, it is the place of AU, the new building of AU.
Wow.
At that time it is a prison.
The present building?
The present building is, at that time it is a prison.
So that was where you were imprisoned?
Yeah, for
Now,
2 years.
have you gone back to sit in the same building when you become great?
Yes,
And you
really.
look at it and say, this was where I was imprisoned?
Yes, last time, just 3 times. Before, first, on the meeting of African First Ladies against HIV/AIDS, I participated and sit there. Not only me, also there are other ladies.
Who were also in
Ambassador of India in Ambassador of Ethiopia in India. Also, she is present there.
Wow.
We sit there and participate AU meeting.
So what were you, how was the experience like when you sat there and you just moved back, you flashed back and you said to yourself, oh, lady, we were one time prisoners, yeah.
Yeah. Because history can change. That shows us anything can change by participation of its citizen and by participation of the community. The community can change bad things to a good one. Now we have a good government, a democratic government. Because of this, everything is changed.
So
also that place, because of the Africans leader and major participation of Ethiopia, that place became the AU seat.
That's great. Well, anytime you go to Addis Ababa and you see the building of African Union, always have it in mind that that was the former prison where Her Excellency was imprisoned. That is quite interesting. What a history from where you were in prison. Now you sat there to deliver paper and you were talking to all your colleagues. I'm sure you'll be very happy that day. The first time you were brought back there as not just a mere person, one of the leaders on the continent of Africa. Now let's take a look at Ethiopia. You mentioned now Ethiopia has democratic government and the government is doing fine now. How were you able to handle the period of tough time, the crisis period? How was it like? How is Ethiopia now after the little challenge that the country went, the democratic crisis, the political crisis?
You see, to pass that bad time, it took a sacrifice of our brothers and sisters. There are in different countries there is a revolt against that government, undemocratic government. Man and woman, they entered forest and start fighting this government. After that regime throw away, the new government came to power and started to draft a charter, transition charter. After that, the constitution. This constitution, I mean, in 1991, the federal democratic government is established as a transitional government. Every guerrilla fighters, every rebels came to and joined this group, the transitional period. After that, our constitution is drafted by participation of our people. It is a democratic constitution. In this constitution, really, this constitution is ensuring all of things about the religion, about the ethnicity. We have around 80, more than 80 ethnic groups in Ethiopia. This constitution also it treats diversity of these ethnic groups, diversity of the religion. Now after that, really, we are happy. We start growing. We start living in peaceful. Ethiopia became a stable country.
So now Ethiopia is a cool place to be.
A cool and stable place to be, yeah. In Horn of Africa.
For every Africans?
For every Africans. Ethiopia has played a big role, not only in our own country. For in Horn of Africa, Ethiopia has played a big role in stabilization in Sudan and Somalia, by giving troops. by mediating.
Yeah, my guest on Trailblazers Africa today is Her Excellency Gifti Abasiya, the ambassador of the Democratic Republic of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia in Ghana. And she's told us about the challenge, how she was also imprisoned. It appears those who become great in Africa had experience of prison. Nelson Mandela was in prison. You were also imprisoned. Janet Woodlovo, the ambassador of South Africa in Ghana, was also in prison. She told me she was in prison. Why must you first go to prison before becoming great? What was the secret?
Because of our freedom. We don't allow our freedom, our right to be
taken away.
To be taken away. Not only for our right or our community's rights. We want democracy. We want justice.
That's interesting. But what is the contribution of the citizens, the people of Ethiopia, in changing the fortune, in changing the situation of Ethiopia after the crisis?
The participation of the community in changing the nation, the country is really a big role. It has a big role. The participation is in different ways, directly and indirectly. If I take example in my country, that bad time not only passed by the fighting of guerrilla fighters, by support of the community. The community is against the undemocratic government and it is a supporter of the these revolutionary groups by giving food, by supporting by idea, and sending their children to fight for their freedom and democracy. After that, also in participating in lawmaking, not directly, indirectly by their representatives. Also in development, in good governance, even starting from the tax paying.
Okay.
The citizens, the money which comes from the citizens, it can support the development of the country. In other ways, in check and balance.
Okay.
Because the citizens can support check and balance of the leaders, not to work for themselves, to work for the people, for the people and the people.
Now, when you look at Ethiopia, so many people do not have the knowledge of the resources available in Ethiopia. How blessed in terms of mineral resources is Ethiopia?
You see, to know and use your resources, you should have a visionary leaders who can lead this country. Before Ethiopian, our people is 85% of the Ethiopian people living in agriculture. This agriculture product is only from hand to mouth. It doesn't get surplus product. They don't know how to harvest. They don't know how to add productivity. Only they waited for the rain season once in a year. If that didn't come, there is no any harvest. Because of this, we passed a bad history, and we have a bad image at that time. We wait for the assistance of foreigners, aid assistance and development assistance. Even that development assistance didn't develop the country. We passed through famine times. You know that. That back history, it has spoiled our image. But at this time, Ethiopia had a big resource. At this time, that's changed. Ethiopia is one of the fast-growing countries, top 10 of fast-growing countries in the world. We register for the past 10 years, 2-digit growth rates. Economic growth rate, 11, 12, like that for 10 years.
That's serious.
Yeah, yeah. Now, that is why we have a visionary leaders. We have a clear and clean policies, how to work, how to get. And that our policy is really based on agricultural-led industrialization. Why is that? Ethiopia is 80% of the population is lived on agriculture, subsistence agriculture. And now that policy is focused on increasing productivity.
That's fantastic. We know that Eritrea has oil, Ghana gold, Nigeria oil, that's crude. Which one, apart from the agriculture, which one does Ethiopia can really say they have? Do they have gold? Do they have oil?
We have gold, we have platinum, we have potash, but still we don't have oil. Without oil, we registered 2-digit growth rates. We are trying to find oil, but still we didn't find it.